I let other people take my kids and me to Disney even though I knew my husband wasn't okay with it, and now he's acting like I cheated on him. Hey there, welcome back to Story Nest. Subscribing really helps the channel grow and keeps the stories coming your way. I'm 25, married to Cory, who's 28, and we have 2 young children, Grady, who's 6 months old, and Nina, who's 5 years old. We're not rich by any means, but we're managing. We have enough to make sure the bills are paid, food is on the table, and the essentials are covered. There's no threat of losing our home, but luxuries are far and few between. We don't go out to eat often, and the kids don't get new toys unless it's a special occasion. Cory, however, has a peculiar stance when it comes to finances. He's incredibly proud, maybe even to a fault. Whenever we're out with friends or family, and the check comes, he insists on paying no matter what. Even when we're with people who are in a better financial position than we are, he won't let them cover the bill. At first, I thought it was sweet, this desire to take care of others, but over time, I noticed it was more of a compulsion. Even when my parents offer us something small, say, a gift or a meal, if it feels too much, to Cory, he gets upset and won't let us accept it. It's not that he's ashamed of them, but he hates the idea of anyone doing something for us. The concept of handouts really gets under his skin, and it's led to more than one argument between us. While I don't always agree with him, I've learned to pick my battles and, most of the time, just let him handle it. It's something I've accepted over time, but when it came to special occasions, like our son's birthday, things were about to get complicated. Last week was Grady's 5th birthday, and I had planned something small but meaningful for him. In our family, we usually celebrate in 2 parts. One is a quiet family gathering on the actual day, and then we have a party with friends on a separate weekend. But this year, things didn't quite go as planned. Cory couldn't take the day off work, and with the way things lined up, it made more sense to throw the party on Grady's actual birthday. Grady was thrilled, as you can imagine. He was talking about it for weeks, looking forward to having all of his friends come and share the excitement. He wanted to invite his whole class, 23 kids in total, and I thought that sounded wonderful. Cory and I worked together to plan it out. We were both on board, and everything seemed perfect. We wanted to make it a day Grady would always remember. But as the hours passed and the party got underway, reality started to set in. An hour in, and not a single child had shown up. Grady was over the moon at first, running around, enjoying the decorations, the food, the presents, but with each passing minute, it became more and more obvious that the party was starting to feel like a flop. I could see his little face fall as he looked out the window, probably hoping to see his friends coming up the driveway. But no one came. By the time someone finally arrived, Grady was already starting to cry. It was Simon, a girl from his class, along with her parents. I recognized them, of course. We were on friendly terms, but we didn't really socialize much outside of school functions. Still, Grady was so happy that someone had arrived, he couldn't mask his excitement. But I could tell it wasn't enough. He had wanted more. I watched my son, his face filled with a mix of hope and disappointment. No child should ever feel this kind of hurt on their birthday. Simon's parents, being the generous and kind-hearted people they were, must have noticed the situation, and they suggested something that caught me completely off guard. "Why don't we all go to Disney World?" they asked. I blinked, unsure if I had heard them right. They lived about an hour away from us, but went to Disney World often. It wasn't just an off-the-cuff idea. They were serious. And the kicker? They offered to pay for everything, the tickets, the food, everything. I hesitated. It felt like too much. I felt guilty even considering it. I knew Cory would be against it, especially with how sensitive he was about taking anything from anyone. But in that moment, I couldn't bear the thought of Grady having a sad birthday. His disappointment was breaking my heart, and this offer felt like a lifeline. After some back and forth, I reluctantly agreed. They insisted that it wasn't a big deal and that they wanted to help. We drove to Disney World together, and it turned out to be a magical day. Grady's face lit up as we entered the park, his mood shifting instantly. It was the best possible outcome, and it made his birthday unforgettable. Everyone had an amazing time, and it felt like a small miracle in the middle of what had started as a disappointing day. But as wonderful as it was, I knew there would be consequences once Cory found out. The day at Disney World was everything Grady could have dreamed of. His face lit up with each new ride and every character encounter. It was the kind of day that made me feel like a hero, like I had done everything I could to turn around a situation that could have left him heartbroken. It felt like a victory, even if it wasn't one I had planned for. But as the day wound down and we all headed home, I knew the real challenge was waiting for me. Cory, when I told him about what happened, I could see the storm clouds forming in his eyes. He hadn't even had a chance to experience the joy of the day with us, and all he could focus on was the fact that I had accepted this gift from Simmons' parents. I knew what was coming, and sure enough, it wasn't long before he exploded. "Why would you let them do that?" he shouted, his voice filled with disbelief. "Do you have any idea how much money they spent on us? How could you just let them pay for everything?" "That's ridiculous." I tried to explain. I tried to tell him how much Grady needed that day, how the party was a disaster until Simmons' family stepped in, how it saved his birthday. But he wasn't hearing any of it. Cory's face twisted with anger as he paced back and forth, clearly upset. "This is exactly why I don't let you make decisions like this," he snapped. "You think you're helping, but you're just making things worse. We can't rely on other people like that. I don't want handouts, and I don't want you to let people buy us things. It's not right." I tried to keep calm, but inside, I was feeling a growing sense of frustration. I could understand his pride, his desire to protect our family's dignity, but the situation was different. This wasn't just about us accepting charity, it was about making sure our son had a good birthday. "We were in a tough spot, Cory," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Grady was devastated. And if I didn't accept their help, we would have let him down. Sometimes, pride has to take a back seat to what's best for the kids. But it didn't matter. Cory's anger only seemed to grow. "I've told you before," he said, his voice low but full of tension, "if you can't make better choices about money, I need to take control of our finances. You've proven you can't handle it. I can't trust you with this." His words stung, more than I wanted to admit. The idea that he didn't trust me, that he thought I couldn't make sound decisions for our family, hit me harder than I expected. I wasn't perfect, but I always had the best intentions. I did what I thought was right, especially for our kids. But in that moment, it felt like none of that mattered. My mistake, in his eyes, was unforgivable. As he ranted, my heart started to sink. I had done what I thought was best. Grady was happy, and it was supposed to be a good memory for all of us. But Cory's reaction made me question everything. Had I really made a mistake? Was it wrong for me to accept their help? The tension in the house didn't ease after that conversation. Cory was still furious, and I could see how upset he was every time he looked at me. It wasn't just about the money. This was deeper, about pride, control, and how we handled everything as a family. He felt betrayed, like I had undermined his role as the one who managed our finances. For him, money was something to be fiercely guarded, something that had to be earned and never given away freely. To accept such an extravagant gesture from Simmons' parents went against everything he believed in. The next few days felt strained. I tried to apologize, to make him understand that I wasn't trying to disrespect him or undermine his values. But each time I spoke, he seemed more distant, more determined to stay angry. It was like a wall had gone up between us. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had let him down. Yes, I had done it for Grady, and yes, the day at Disney had been magical for him. But Cory's reaction made me question everything I'd done. Was it really worth it to go against his wishes? I wanted to believe I had done the right thing, that putting my child's happiness first was the most important decision, but the doubt started creeping in. When I looked at Cory, I saw the hurt in his eyes. It wasn't just anger, it was disappointment. He felt like I had made a choice that undermined our partnership, like I had taken something away from him that was his to decide. And that cut deep. I never wanted to make him feel small, to make him feel like I couldn't trust him to handle things. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel resentful of his reaction. It was just a birthday, for goodness sake. And Grady had been so excited. He deserved to have that joy, even if it meant stepping outside of the boundaries we usually set for ourselves. In the end, I don't know if I'll ever fully make peace with this situation. I did what I thought was right, but it came at the cost of a rift between us. Cory still thinks I should have refused their offer, that I should have let Grady down to preserve our pride. But how could I do that when I saw how much Grady needed that magic, how much he needed a win after such a disappointing start to his birthday? I feel bad for what I did, but at the same time, I know it was a choice made with love. It wasn't about me, it wasn't about Cory, it was about giving our son something special. Still, I can't help but feel like I've made things worse, and I don't know how to repair the damage between Cory and me. All I wanted was to make sure Grady had the best birthday possible. Was that so wrong?